Tools for the Dungeon Master or Game Master. Let's talk about Campaign Cartographer 3. I've been using Campaign Cartographer for many years. I started with version 2, I believe. I might have actually started with version 1. I have most of the additions to it, and I use it all the time. But I thought I'd talk about the pros and cons of Campaign Cartographer. This is one of the dungeons that I've created a while back and have played. And this is sort of shows you some of the stuff you can do. You can draw it. This is a little bit hard to see right now. What happens if I come up here and I turn off the hex or square grid? Might be a little bit easier. And if I come up here and if I turn off the background, then you can actually see the shapes of the rooms, and I've got numbers everywhere. It makes it very easy. I'm not going to do a tutorial about this. This is just a description of a tool for the DM to consider. Now, let me show you one of the reasons not to consider it. And this is the problem. So let's bring up, first off, handy dandy task manager, and we'll go to performance, and we'll go to open the resource manager here. So I'm running on an AMD machine, and it's a relatively it's above middle of the road, as the saying goes. This Campaign Cartographer is based upon a tool called FastCAD, and this is the FastCAD. So this shows. Let's see, where is it? If we come back over here and we look at the processes, FastCAD is running here at 0 processes with performance. We see our CPU has got a few things running. Mainly that's the Chem Studio, which I'm recording this with. And we're over here with the resources, and so we don't, where did it go? There. So it's not showing up right now, or it's just showing up as a minor little blip. So let's turn on what are called sheet effects. Campaign Cartographer will make your head spin if you think about it. You have what are called layers, which most people are familiar with. Then you have sheets, and the sheets are a superset of layers which allow you to have a whole bunch of effects. So if I turn on sheet effects, and then I say OK, and I come back over here to my resource monitor, now we're seeing where the process really starts to take. It's doing a lot of calculations, an awful lot of calculations. And if we go to Task Manager, we see our CPU utilization, that's performance, and we actually have the fun little challenge that we have. This actually highlights one of the problems that I have with Campaign Cartographer. You notice in the background it flickering. And this is one of the bugs that drives me insane with Campaign Cartographer. Sometimes, and I've reported this, and they say, yes, well, it'll close down. Basically, if you reboot Windows and come back in, it may not happen. Now, that's the solution. Campaign Cartographer performance, let's go back to the resource monitor. It's showing that it's running on one thread. Now, Campaign Cartographer is based upon FastCAD, which makes a great deal of emphasis, if you go to their website, about the fact that most of it's written in assembly language, which gives them performance. Has two major downfalls. And this is as a true geek who manages software development and does architecture. First off, writing multi-threaded applications in assembly is possible, but that shows right here, one thread, that it's not. It's running on a single thread. The second thing is, so it notice that it's FastCAD. FCW32. It actually is a 32-bit application, even though I'm running on a 64-bit system. So it won't take full advantage of all the memory that I have. And we see occasionally it hits the disk, and it's buggy. And I'll be blunt about that. I use Campaign Cartographer a lot, and I'm very dependent upon it. And I say with love, because I do enjoy the program a lot, it's a bit of a pain because it crashes all the time. It gets into this state here where it's not responding. And the only option I have at this point in time is basically to kill it, to close the program. And it may say it's not responding. So let's come back. Let's reopen up Campaign Cartographer again. And let's get it back so you can see everything. But it's... So that shows you one of the challenges. Let's do something a bit more interesting with Campaign Cartographer, and let's create a brand new map. So like I said, we'll just show some of the features. So if I do, wonderful. It's, I gotta scroll the whole thing over so I can see what's going on here. Trying to get this to fit on the screen. I normally run a little bit higher resolution, and I screen capture down to 1080, so it'll display on 1080p. So let's do File, New. And I'll say no. I don't want to save any changes. So I've got a lot of things installed here. You can do characters, you can do castles, you've got characters, you've got dungeons, you've got a whole bunch of things. So let's pick a new city, and you can pick a predefined template here, and they have some templates like this. So let's do this is City Designer 3A. We'll do a 500 by 400 foot square village. So now if I come here and I click City Designer, so now then this affects all my menus. This is for overland maps. These are my main menus here. This is Dungeon Designer. This is City Designer. This is Character Artist, which allows me to create characters. I have Cosmographer, and then I have Serious Symbol Sets. I have castles. I have temples, tombs, and various things like that, and cities. So, but here, these are all added in here. Now, this is the reason why I don't recommend anyone to buy it at this moment. And this is in February of 2015. Campaign Cartographer has just released CC3 Plus, which is a brand new version of Campaign Cartographer. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with any of the plugins or the packages. So you're sort of stuck with just doing overland maps. And for me, I do a lot of dungeons, I do a lot of cities, I do a variety of things. I like the fact that I've got all these add-ons that are available. Right now, they're not compatible. So you're stuck with Campaign Cartographer 3 or 3 Plus. Actually, we'll install side by side. The problem with that is that I routinely switch between maps, and it gets, to me, confusing when I had both installed of how to get things working. Which one do I open up for which map? And with Overland, because you can use some of the new styles that they have with the new Cartographer. So here, let's go back to that. So it's when they get that fixed, life will be much better. Let's say we want to. So we can pick a house. Gives you a whole bunch of options of what kind of houses you want, and these are pre-designed. So I can pick an igloo, which gets a little strange, or I can pick stuff for the moon, or I can pick an orc village, which gives you this, and I can pick what shape that it's going to be. So I can pick this shape here, and I can say insert, and it will drag along, and I will click it. Second house point, and then here's my third house point, and then I can do right there, and then a whole bunch of weird things, and then it finally draws it. Sorry about that. I've got a little bit of hoarseness today. So I can zoom in on this, and I can see how it's drawn this house. I can then go, and since I can look at some of the, I can add drop an orc down here and here and here, and I can do a cage, and they have a whole bunch of options, as you see, and I can quickly create something, which is why I really love Campaign Cartographer. The problem, like I said, is that there are a series of bugs. It's written in assembly, so if you have a gaming PC, if you're a gamer or you normally play video games, it's not going to take advantage of your graphics card. It does minimal use of your graphics card. It does minimal use of, if you got multiple processors, it will run on relatively pedestrian, as the saying goes, hardware, but it means it won't take advantage of higher end hardware. And because it's written in assembler, if anybody knows about project management and the development, this means it's going to take them years, if ever, to move to where they're supporting multiple processors, multiple threads, large amounts of memory, which is what's happening with gaming PCs. If you go out and buy a nice gaming PC and you've got, an 8-core processor with 32 gig of RAM and, SLI graphics cards, Campaign Cartographer won't won't use any of that. It will just use a single core processor. It will just use single core out of your processor. It will only run basically a single thread. Most of the time I've seen it as run as high as 5 threads, but that's rare. And so it has some serious deficiencies with regard to that. So if you're trying to quickly generate maps, you can drop maps quickly. It is a learning curve if you've never used a CAD program, if you're familiar with vector drawing type machines, because most of it is vector based, but it does play with bitmaps and drops bitmaps on here. You have lots and lots of different styles and symbols, and you can see what you've got here. Like I can drop a husky or whatever, and you can switch over to, say, Dungeon Design. This is what I really like. I can switch over to Dungeon Designer and say, oh, I want some furniture, and I can go in and pick up I can say, oh, I want to drop a grand piano right here. Well, whatever. And the orc's playing a grand piano. Kind of, it's got to be a bizarre campaign if you're doing that. But I can do all of that, and I can put all the symbols together. The problem with it is right now with the newest release, it doesn't support that yet. They're working on it. I appreciate that. But that means that I can't recommend that you buy it at this time. When they get it all fixed and they get the release, yes, it'll be great. You can draw everything, all different kinds of maps. It's great for fantasy role-playing. That's what its focus is on. It's relatively inexpensive comparatively. I'll leave you to go look up the prices, see what you can get on that. But it's there. Now, the install is a whole nightmare. And I say that it's a nightmare. I spent the past several days trying to install because I installed the Campaign Cartographer 3 Plus beta, and then that worked, and I was running into, because I installed initially in a non-standard. This goes way back. They had some initial issues when Windows 7 came out. They had some issues about installation on Windows 7. Yeah, I started this way back in Windows XP, and possibly before that. I think I started initially on Windows 98 with Campaign Cartographer. So I've used it. I own most of it. I enjoy it, but can complain about it because I know about a lot of the limitations and a lot of the problems. So if you're willing to invest the time and the money, it's not particularly cheap. I believe it will help with your campaigns. You can save your images out. I can save this out as an FCW file, which is Campaign Cartographer, or I can save it out. I normally choose PNGs. So I can save it out as a PNG file. Allows me a whole bunch of options when I save it out. I can do a bunch of options with settings and what ratio and what screen resolution I want, and say I want to save it out as, if I just say say okay, and we'll just say save. That's a crap name. And then for me, that means it will, it should have, let's see, it's file save as. Why didn't it do that? It's supposed to open up PNG. If I look at my options, crop, launch image viewer. So if I do this, save, yeah, replace it. Now I've got GIMP installed, so it automatically is going to fire up GIMP. You don't see this. GIMP is loading in the background on another screen. So what happens is that this allows me to post-process the image. So if I bring GIMP over on top and make it so you can see what's going on with GIMP. Let's get over here. Oh man, there we go. There is GIMP. Slide this up here so you can see all of GIMP. So now I can, with GIMP, I can zoom in and look at my image, which actually wasn't a very high resolution image, which is fine for this one. I can do higher resolution. I can crop out just images of it and render them and do a variety of things. And I use GIMP to create my maps for the display because it's cheap, it's easy, GIMP is free, it works for what I need to do. And the combination of Campaign Cartographer and GIMP provide a lot of capabilities. But I want you to be aware that there's some challenges with this. If there are some real advantages to being able to come in and say, oh, I want to design a stellar map, and you can do a whole bunch, or I want to design a starship. Say I want to do a no drawing tool, which is one of the challenges you get into switching between the packages as when you're doing that. But I can come back over here and say new, and I don't want to save this, that's crap. I can go do Cosmographer, and I can pick a predefined template, and I can grab whole bunch of, I can do deck plans. It really supports Traveler. I can do whole bunch of things which will allow me to draw the tools like, oh, I want to draw a deck plan, Traveler style, or I can close. Let's just go back and file, new, no. Decide the settings myself. So then I can say, what do I want? Do I want a 3D map? I can do a deck plan, which gives you some nice examples. You can barely see here probably. Gives this. This is the other challenge. Notice this dialogue is not scalable. I can't read all the text on the screen because here it's wraps, but here it doesn't wrap. You run into this all the time if you're running a higher resolution monitor. It works great on a lower resolution monitor, but then you're a lower resolution monitor, and I like to have a higher resolution monitor. And it just, with larger fonts. So there are some challenges with Campaign Cartographer. It works well most of the time. It crashes often, crashes frequently. Back up your work frequently. It will get into weird scenarios with rendering sheets where it just goes into la la land and you have to basically kill the process. So I thought I'd just give a quick overview of what you can do with Campaign Cartographer. It's a program I love to hate. It has lots of challenges. This is trying to keep this not too long, but so this is my comments about Campaign Cartographer. It's a tool for the DM. Thank you for listening.